allow me to acknowledge the Chief of Staff of the South African National Defence Force, Lieutenant General Ramanswana. We were expecting to have members of the Plenary Defence Staff Council, but they're not here, and there is one member of the Military Command Council and the Chaplain General of the South African National Defence Force. And also, allow me also to acknowledge the Provost Marshal General, Rear Admiral Great Mapoto, who convened this session. Senior officers, Sergeant Major of the National Defence Force also promised that he was going to be here, but seemingly also got bogged down in the meeting that I just had to abandon and come this side. I did so because for me, this conference is important. I always say, if we can deal with the ills that we see currently in our society, then it means we're not serious about what we want to achieve as a nation. I am standing here, the Chief of Staff said I should come and open, and indeed I will open, because this morning General Ngobo opened the windows. Now I'm going to open the doors of this conference. So don't be worried that how many times is this conference going to be open. You opened the windows and now coming to open the door. Allow me to really also go back to the paperwork, because what had been prepared must not be left. I know that when he opened, he said it was a great pleasure for him to welcome you to welcome you all to the 7th Department of Defense Anti-Criminality Conference 2023. And as we address an issue that has plagued our defense force and he omitted something that I said he must say when he opened. Our defense force and our entire country for too long. And then he went on and said, today we convene under the banner of anti-criminality, united in our resolve to create a safer and more secure environment for every member of the South African National Defence Force. That was his opening remarks when he started. But I want also to echo on what he was saying. He said, it is pleasing that the PLG has chosen to have this conference on anti-criminality during a National Women's Month, a month where we pay tribute to more than 20,000 women who marched to the Union buildings on the 9th of August 1956 in protest against the extension of past laws to women. Therefore, during the Women's Month, we should take stock of how far we have come in transforming our society, particularly the transformation of an equal power relations between women and men, while also focusing on and addressing gender oppression, patriarchy, sexism, racism, ageism, structural oppression, and creating a conducive environment which enables women to take control of their lives. It is against that background that South Africa will be celebrating this year's Women's Month under the theme, I quote, accelerating socio-economic opportunities for empowerment of women, close quote, in line with a new recurring theme from this year to 2028, where we are saying, I quote again, we in capital letter, for gender equality and inclusive society, close quote. As the South African National Defence Force, it gives us a really great pleasure to share this very special day here today with you. Because today, as we sit around the table, we proclaim that the South African National Defence Force is part of the South African society that it serves and defends. We do so being cognizant of the fact that our country is plagued by a high level of crime. We are equally cognizant of the fact that majority of those who are affected by crime are women and children. Today, we have gathered here as an acknowledgement of the reality, and we are saying that we are all concerned about the societal ills that crime brings to our people. And we in the South African National Defence Force must take lead in the fight against crime of all nature. As concerned citizens, we are today proclaiming that we should like to be party to a greater South African aspiration of creating conditions in which the opportunities and motivation for crime will be reduced, as well as transforming the capacity of the criminal justice system to deal with crime in line with the National Crime Prevention Strategy. We in the South African National Defence Force stand undeterred from our constitutional mandate, which is to protect the territorial integrity of the Republic and to support its people. It is therefore imperative that we take the fight against crime seriously, as it is an integral part of our constitutional mandate. We will continue to be there for our people because we are a defense force of the people as we come from the people. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be amiss of me if I will conclude what I said will just be the opening of the door before I tell this august house that the South African National Defence Force has now finalized printed the blueprint of our future defense force. We have defined a pathway in our quest to seek ways and means to improve on delivering on our constitutional mandate in the crunch times of budget cuts. We have now spelled out how we will navigate and march into the future. We have named our strategic pathway that it is our journey to greatness. And in this journey to greatness, the anti-criminality strategy should be in the center so as to ensure that the defense force continues to be commanded as a disciplined force. It is therefore our collective responsibility to join hands in the fight against crime. Top amongst those are crimes involving firearms. You have heard of issues that we had to contend with at Nansai. You have heard of issues that we had to deal with at Forsyth, where we find that people who were taking our arms and others are equally renting those arms out for criminal activities. The other issues that we need to deal with is this organized crime, the syndicates that are becoming more and more of a norm in our units, whereby members of the defense force are becoming members of cartels and syndicates that prize on other people's properties as well as the property of the defense force. We also have to contend with white-collar crime. We have heard of people that have been opening offices in disused offices at Garrison, and thus sending out tender papers for people to deliver in those warehouses, and only to find that people are being robbed of their small income. The other issue that we are also finding more difficult is the question of gender violence and crimes against children and women. We have come up with a way of trying to address this by implementing the issue of SEER, which is mainly at the deployment areas. But coming back home, there is very little that one can say legally we can stand on because SIA had not been recognized here at home as a crime, and therefore it becomes very difficult for the Adjutant General to come up with the charges that he will have to prefer against those who are charged with SIA-related issues. The other issue that are cause for concern is currently vehicle theft that is happening also in our cantonment areas. The biggest elephant in the room that we need to contend with and try and find solutions is the question of fraud and corruption. This is the elephant that is troubling this organization. And I would like to say that let us have zero tolerance to any form of crime. And we need to completely eradicate the scourge from our organization, and not only our organization, but on society at large. By the end of this conference, I also agree with the Chief of Staff that our expectation is that you will craft the best possible way of the CSANDF reclaiming its glory and be more resolute in our fight against crime, and we will come out victorious with the help of all the resolutions that will come up and plans that you'll put together during this conference. To all members of the National Defence Force who might not be here, and those who are here, and those who are deployed elsewhere, I would like to reiterate that as the commander of the National Defence Force, I continue to salute you, and I remain indebted in your commitment and dedication to your work, and in this case, in your effort to try and curb the scourge of criminality within our organization. And I would like to say that continue to be a change agent in the fight against crime in all forms. I would also like to singularly extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the military, police servicemen and women, all legal practitioners, all those who are involved in anti-criminality, and in total, I say to all those who are sitting here who are involved and who are responsible for anti-criminality in the various areas, continue to ensure that maintenance of discipline in the Defence Force remains the core function of each one of us. In these timeless times and yet exciting period, never stop giving your best in service of our country and our people, and make your effort to be felt across the width and breadth of our country, and put a chill and fear in the spine of criminals and the aspirant to be criminals, because the outcome of this conference, I am very confident that crime will be a thing of the past in our military communities, and again that will permeate into our society at large. And now that I said I'm not going to try and belong, because General Ngo has opened the windows. Mine was just to let the mosquitoes get through the window, but let the people get in through the door. So mosquitoes that comes in will find those who came in through the door ready to deal with them. And those are the ones that are going to be fighting criminality within our organization. Mosquitoes just took advantage of the window that was opened by General Ngo in the morning. So on that note, let me now, in my capacity as the Chief of the National Defence Force, declare the Anti-Criminality Conference formally open.